Good morning and happy Sabbath to all of us, to all the people around this world, and especially for those people who are keep on listening our studies. May God bless you all, and may you continue to listen for us to be more prepared in the future events in this world, especially in the appearing for the second time of Jesus Christ. May these words, may everything we hear in this page will help us to make ourselves even more prepared, so we will not be deceived. Okay, but before that, we will start this with a prayer. Let us kneel down. Precious Lord, who art in heaven, thank you, Father, for all the blessings, for the whole protections of the whole week. Thank you for guiding us. Thank you for all the things that you have give to us, and as we study your holy words this time, Lord, may you help us to have your Holy Spirit for us to be able to understand all the things that we were going to discuss. Then it will be remain in our hearts, in our minds, and it will be the message that we're going to analyze this Sabbath and help us to understand more deeply. And may you give us enough strength to continue or to endure until the end. May you find us in the multitude of the righteousness, and may you give us the understanding, and may you give us peace and comfort, because we're facing a lot of difficulties in this life. May you give us the courage and the wisdom how to conquer all these kind of battles, and give us the power to win. And there's a lot of things that our hearts keeps on beating, and you know all the desires of it, and we're laying this all into your hands, Lord, and we're asking for the forgiveness of all our sins in thoughts, words, and deeds. And this we ask and pray to the mighty name of our Lord Jesus Christ, our Savior and King, and the help of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Great is the Lord, He is holy and just. By His power we trust in His love.
Great is the Lord, He is faithful and true. By His mercy He proves His love. Great is the Lord and worthy
good Sabbath day to each and every one of you. I pray that you're having another blessed and wonderful Sabbath day rest, and that everything that is going on in this world is not affecting you mentally, physically, spiritually, or emotionally. And through all the temptations that this world presents to us, and Satan and his hosts and whatnot, that we're learning to not submit to that, but we're submitting to the will of God, and understanding that if we're going to make it to heaven and we want to be blessed 30-fold, 60-fold, 100-fold here and in the world to come, we got to do everything we can to stand with God as much as possible, because the times proclaim that we know one day this world is going to be cast into the greatest test known to man. And so what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and start with the third angel's message in Revelation chapter 14 verses 9 and downward. I'll probably read that whole chapter there and bring some light to those who are not fully grounded in this, but may need a little bit more understanding to better understand what's happening today, what's going to soon happen, and the ultimate outcome to this global system that is brewing today, which we understand that the book of Revelation and Daniel go together, and there's portions of Ezekiel too that also go together. And we have so many prophecy charts that are on our website at ssremnant.org that you can go to, where there's a greater in-depth study of these things. But we will continue to dig deeper and deeper into the things that we understand in the scriptures regarding Daniel and Revelation and Ezekiel, and also a lot of the stuff that's happened in Genesis chapter 1 and onward regarding Creation Week. We'll slowly talk about the things that we've been actually deceived about regarding NASA and what they have tried to do to this world, and deceiving people and trying to make them believe that this was all some big bang and what have you, and we came from rocks and all this kind of stuff. And it's just utter nonsense. That institution does not have anything to do with the Creator whatsoever. This is why they don't talk about Him or preach about our Savior Christ and His truth, but they do everything that they can to change things. So this is why it's very crucial that we learn to dig into the scriptures and do everything we can to get grounded in that, because by doing so, whatever is being presented out in this world will be utterly deceived. And so let's go ahead and start with Revelation chapter 14 verse 9 and downward. And so it says here, we know that there's three angels, and those three angels' messages are very important for our time, and it unites with Revelation, chapter 18 with the fourth angel. And so we read, "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand," remember, we understand forehead, it's not some literal tattoo they're going to stick on the forehead, but it's in his forehead. What's in your forehead? Your brain. Your brain is where you will freely decide to either worship this beast system of Sunday sun worship or not. You will have to decide with your mind. And if you decide with your mind that you're going to worship this beast system and its Sunday law, then you've chose willfully in your brain, and that's where you'll receive his mark and his authority. Because we know that in the London, Ontario quote that we've read so many times and we have on our website, in the words of the harlot on ssremnant.org, it clearly says that they show and say visibly and writing it out, that we see everybody is bowing down mostly to the system of Satan through the Vatican changing the Sabbath into Sunday, where they openly admit that Sunday is their mark of authority and the church is above the Bible. And this transference of Sabbath observance from Saturday to Sunday is proof of that fact, which that's blasphemy, and you can't change the commandments of God. It was written in stone and it's the character of Christ. And Satan doesn't want you to obtain to that character, and this is why he works so hard to get into the mind, to get you to comply to the system of the beast. And this is where they will try to force you against your will and take you by your hand to worship the beast in his image. And if you don't, they will ultimately kill everyone but the 144,000. And this is why it says, and receive his mark. His mark is Sunday worship, and you accept their Sunday worship in your forehead, where you have willfully decided to go ahead and worship the beast in his image on Sunday, or in his hand. Hand is where they can force you against your will to do things that you don't want to do, and you just go off and comply because you're scared, or your inability to work and to participate in this global economy. And this is why I said in my testimony service and sermon that when it comes, time for Sunday worship and what have you, they are going to give you the carrot. They're going to dangle all the goodness that they plan on giving to everyone in this world. Like Satan says, bow down and worship me and I'll give you all this world. They're going to let everyone taste of this system. They're going to let everyone taste of the good fruits, and then they're going to take it away. It's like they will feed the poor and what have you, and give them everything that they want, and then when it comes time, they're going to say, if you want us to continue to do this and you want to be a part of this system, then you better worship and obey what we say and do. And so the mark of the beast is when we comply to their demands to worship the beast and his image, and we as Christians cannot and will not do that. The false will. And so this is where you receive the mark of the beast, in the forehead or in the hand, by you willfully complying and agreeing, by using your brain to decide you are going to worship. All right? And if you don't receive the mark of the beast there at that point, they will then take you by the hand and take you into captivity to either worship or die. Period. And a lot of people will not comply with that, but those that do will receive it in their hand, and then ultimately will receive it in their brain, because they did decide to choose to follow because they were afraid of death, or they were afraid to lose their home or their cars or their job and what have you. And this is why we have said this mindless conformity to believing that you've got to be in the world working in order to survive. It's not true. And this is what they work so hard for, to go through the school system, to learn a bunch of lies, to go into the Babylonian system to work and what have you. And yes, it is something that we can do, but you have to understand the repercussions of you loving that system so much that you place it above God's alternative. Everyone we know needs to work and have a job, but the best thing anybody can do is to go out into your land of milk and honey and get out of the control of Babylon in every way, shape, or form as much as possible. Don't rely upon the system, is what we need to do to the best of our ability. We want to have our own pharmacy and growing our own food and our own grocery store, and being so independent of this system. It's like I've been studying a lot about copper and what have you, and magnets, where you can produce your own electricity. You don't need solar panels and all this stuff. But if you do some research, there's minor scientists who simply educate us in understanding the alternative, that if you want particular things to work on your property, you really don't actually need the government's electricity, because they're doing the same thing that you can honestly do with some simple massive amounts of copper wire and magnets, and making your own electricity and what have you. That's what you get when you look at the circuit of what's going on the earth with the sun and the moon, where they travel in a circuit. And we'll get more into all that later, and what it's really doing, and who's spinning and who's not, and what NASA has done and lied about, where I'm building a page on all these things, where we have a biblical understanding of our earth. We've got to understand and know what our home is, how it works, how we are living. and what this system is all about. It's good to be truly educated, not falling for the lies of the world and the satanic system. And so we read again, and receiveth his mark in his forehead or in his hand. Verse 10, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God. If you're going to worship the beast in his image, the repercussion of that is that you shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is, it's a time of trouble that this world has never seen the alike, because they rejected the truth and the Son of God and what he did on the cross through their obedience to the system and rejecting the alternative system that Christ offered for all of us, if we would just clearly worship him and follow him to do what is right and what have you. And listen, living out into the land of your milk and honey doesn't mean that you can't go into the city and work and do things for your family and yourself and for God. Going into the city to work and to do those things, and then getting out into your land of milk and honey, where the fresh air, the clean water, you drill your own well and get those good minerals that are deep down in there, for you. And if you live by a river and stuff, there's alternative ways to, filter the water through activated charcoal and sand and rocks and all these things. And these are a lot of the things that we can talk about, in the future and what you can do. But like in the old days when America first started and what have you, they were living off the land. They didn't need all these things. In fact, refrigerators and all these electronics and things that they have us go buy in their stores, it's just a trap that now you have to go work in the system to pay for all these things. And the rabbit's hole goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And so while people look to get ahead of things and digging themselves into the system and the working of it and abstaining from the alternative system is only getting them more and more and more in trouble into compliance and compliance and compliance. And so this is why I said you can be working in the world and stuff, but you need to be getting your land of milk and honey situated for you and your family, so that when they do enforce the mark of the beast, you're out there. You don't need the system's help whatsoever. And this is why it's crucial to get with your family members and pray that you can get out there and start doing these things, because it's very important. The warning has gone forward. The light of truth has been given. The three angels' message is planting all the seeds and reaping everything. And one day probation is going to utterly close, and this earth is going to be fully, absolutely reaped. I mean, there's always a shaking and then a little harvest and what have you that brings new people into the church and stuff. But the ultimate one is coming. And those who are found worshiping the beast in his image through their compliance with the system and what they're doing today and uplifting it over the alternative system of God is going to get them in big trouble. And so in verse 10 it says, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, his wrath, like never before, because Babylon's cup of sin has reached unto heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities, and everyone that's connected to that system and found worshiping it is going to be utterly destroyed. And this is why we have in the seals in the 6th, when it is broken, that they're running and fleeing and going into the rocks and hiding us from the face of him that sitteth upon the throne. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Only the 144,000. Because at that point, they've already killed off the remnant of her seed and the good Christians that are going to go to sleep before heaven and then be raised in the resurrection time, the appointed time for his saints. And so we want to take part in that good first resurrection for the kingdom of God. And we can't do that learning to comply with the system today, because it's only going to be our downfall tomorrow when that test comes forward. And we can say that we still have a little time, but we don't want to delay these things, because you want to do the right thing. And this is why we work so hard to preach and to teach and to educate people on what we've got to be doing today. And this is what we've got to keep proclaiming, saying it loud, because this swelling will keep getting louder and louder because people are being educated by these things. And this is why you have in the court system or in the Congress and what have you, where they're having meetings with the CEOs of Facebook or Facebook Meta and TikTok and all these things, because like what TikTok stands for, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, a clock, meaning one day it's all going to be shut down and you're not going to get this truth, because they are saying a lot of things on TikTok that are very truthful and exposing things like the depths of this moon landing and NASA and all this kind of stuff. It's just, and one day they said it's going to be shut down. And this is why it's crucial that while we have the truth, or you have the ability to read your King James Bible, you better read it as grounded as possible. Alright, because it's very important. It's a little cold out here, so I'm a little chilly. But anyways, I love y'all, and I want to keep working as much as I possibly can regardless. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever. When it says forever and ever, okay, it's like being in hell, like these Protestants preach and stuff, forever and ever and ever. Well, okay, it's like in our language. Man, it took us forever and ever to get to the store, but eventually you got there. And so it's just like a figure of speech where we're just saying, hey, it took us forever and ever to get there, and it was like never ending, etc. But there will be an end. It's like when you start a fire and wood and stuff, and or like a bonfire, and you make it, and it lights up, it burns forever and ever and ever until it's finally out. Okay? And so that's what will happen to the wicked in the last days. They will burn forever and ever and ever until, like Malachi chapter 4, you'll be walking on their ashes, and they will be under the soles of our feet, and God makes all things new. Alright? And so this fire and brimstone is found in the introduction of the 7 last plagues and the 7 trumpets, which will go forward like in Revelation chapter 15. You've got the introduction, and then you've got Revelation chapter 16, which is the 7 last plagues, and there you can see what happens. And then Revelation chapter 18, I believe also some in 19, you see their actual, Revelation chapter 18 more so, you see their actual pains and suffering and destruction and all these things. And in the 7 trumpets, which line up with the plagues, when they sound and the plagues drop and all this stuff, and you their heads are like, their tails are like scorpions, their lions are like, and their heads are like lions, and they're just speaking in symbolism that these types of creatures, like if you were to stand in front of a lion, you would be, whoa, and a lot of people would be scared. And so, and people are afraid of scorpions. I mean, you go out in the desert, or you go down there in Texas and stuff, and you see some of those scorpions. It's not nice. So just think of them, and they have wings, and they're flying around. Ooh, that's symbolism speaking of how magnificent and how much torment that is going to come to the wicked for what they have done to you and your family, over the years and stuff. Vengeance is God's, and He will repay. And this is why I tell you, don't be affected by those people who love to lie about you and to write evil reports about you and to speak evil and stuff, because God's day is coming, and they're going to get it for tearing down, God's blessed people who are not, sinless, but they're fighting to overcome as much as possible. But yet these ones that profess to love God supremely actually don't, because what they have done to you or to me or to my family or to my neighbor or to our Christian brothers and sisters, they're tormenting them to the point that some of them don't even have rest day or night. But for me, I put it off. Don't listen to them. It's just a waste of time. And if people want to believe them, then it's just like in Jesus' days. Jesus, he stayed quiet. He didn't get upset. He said, well, if that's what they want to do and they want to believe and they want Barabbas, the thief, the liar, but yet I'm God, Jesus said, then let them. He will not force people. And this is the way they want to act. Let them. Because one day it's going to be over with. And us Christians who have been beat up, tossed around, kicked around, bearing our own cross with Christ, they're going to get the reward. And you will get your reward. So just keep hanging on. Pray for them who despitefully use you and persecute you. Because their day is coming, and their torment will ascend up forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night. Remember when I talked about the trumpets and the plagues? That what they have done before probation closes will be rendered right back to them. They don't give us any rest day or night, they won't have any rest day or night. Who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Who are they? In the next verse, after the third angel is done with Revelation chapter 14 verse 11 and verse 12. Who are they that do not receive the mark of the beast? Because they're not being tormented. Here are the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. We didn't change the commandments. We don't follow the change made by Rome in worshiping on Sunday. But we keep the day that God has appointed from the beginning, which you cannot change because Christ went to the cross. And it's the Lord's Day. No, it's not. It's not. You cannot change the Sabbath day because it was written. It's the seventh day of the Lord where he rested after his labor. And that's what is good health. That we work 6 days and we rest on the seventh. That doesn't mean that you don't go off and do anything. You just go into your house and you sit there and you sleep all day. You don't do that. Okay? We'll get into all that, later, but you don't waste that day away. Look what Jesus did. He went out and about and healed and did all these good things on the Sabbath. Just like it's good to pull your ox out of the ditch if he's hurting and whatnot. He needs to be fed. Take care of God's creatures and his people is a good thing. All right? And so here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus, and they will be the ones that don't worship the beast in his image because they don't comply with Sunday worship. We comply with the Seventh Day Sabbath and all of God's commandments. And so verse 13 says, And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Right, blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. Ye, saith the Spirit, that ye may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. Your works will follow you. 30, 60, 100-fold blessings on this planet for all that you have done. It will follow you into heaven. You will have a new name. That new name will speak of your character and what you did in this time. Will follow you. Your works will follow you. You will be rewarded. And my reward is with me, God says in Revelation chapter 22. I believe that's verse 12. And their works do follow them. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. Sickles are there to reap, to take his children and to cast the other ones into the great winepress of God's wrath, where they will be destroyed. And no, like our former church said, they'll be able to hide in the dens and the rocks, and the plagues are going to be like ancient Egypt, because other books tell them that when those plagues were falling. No, it's a time of trouble which no man has seen the alike. There's no second chance. Those plagues before, in the time of Egypt, were in hopes to let God's people go. Okay? And that was an opportunity for them as a time of repentance. These plagues, these seven trumpets, these seven plagues and seven trumpets, when they are blowing and sounding off and dropping on this planet and the vials are being poured out, it's too late. There's no repentance. They're not going to be sitting in the office writing decrees and being able to do things and hiding in the dens and the rocks, because God will shake the pillars that hold up his earth, and he will shake them like a major earthquake and rock them out of their dens and rocks. And not only that, the lava that's going to melt these rocks to pieces, they're coming out and they're going to be destroyed. And their torment is going to send up forever and ever until they're utterly destroyed. And so it goes on and continues. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, "Thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe." The message of truth ripens God's people, brings them in, and ripens the earth. Those that want to reject it and receive the mark of the beast, they are going to be fully ripened when that test goes forward. Verse 16, "And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple which was in heaven, and also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar." This is war, people. This is big time. This is big picture going on here. You have all the angels, sharp sickles, trumpets, plagues, vials, all these things that are going on. God breaking the seals, closing probation. All right? And another angel came out of the altar, which had power over fire. Fire, brethren. Fire. And we can see that when God heats up the sun sevenfold hotter to burn through the smoke that's out there and all that stuff, there's so many things that we've gone over before, but when we look at that, this angel standing at the sun, cranking up, he has power over fire, and he cried with a loud voice. You can find that angel standing at the sun in Revelation chapter 19, by the way. And cried with a loud voice, with a loud cry, to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, "Thrust in thy sharp sickle and reap," right? "And gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe." This is war. This isn't some time of where they're going to be able to hide and stuff like our former church and be able to not feel their pains and sufferings, because they're going to be receiving these pains. "And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of God's wrath." What does a winepress do, brethren? "And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horses' bridle, by the space of 1,600 furlongs." That means blood, death, fire, sorrow, vials after vials after vials, and trumpets after trumpets pouring out in that day. And we know in Ezekiel chapter 4 verse 6 and many other portions of the Bible give us proofs that one day is equal to a year. So in one day, 1 year, they're going to be tormented like never before, and all the pains and sufferings they caused all of us in our time is coming back to them. It's going to be rendered back to them. So you have a God in heaven, brethren, that loves you greatly and so much. And so I pray that you will be very blessed this Sabbath day, and that you'll continue to examine yourself as much as possible to get right with God, and to just tell yourself constantly, always telling yourself, embedding it in your brain, receiving it in your heart, and complying with God's truth, that you will not worship the beast in his image, no matter how much torture and torment they try to give to all of us. So stand true, stand strong, and I'll see you next time. God bless you all who are contending and striving for the faith, and I love you all. I'm cold, but I do this because I love you. I'm going inside now. Bye-bye.